I got a lot of windows open. It's taking a little bit. All right. Just closing windows. Give me a second. All right, here we go. So, first off, I need to do a disclaimer and a request to all that participate with this call. This call was put together and designed and set up for the someone has a line open. I can hear an echo. It could be me. Hold on. Let me find out where that's coming from. I know where it's coming from. Hold on. It was me. All right. We'll try that again. The call was set up and designed for the kids. And the kids are why I do this call. Now, the adults are welcome to participate, learn something new. That's what it's about. So I don't want to make it kids only, but I will if I have to. Um, and the whole premise to having a kids call is to give them space, give them a place where they can open up and not be afraid to talk because there's adults talking. All right. So this whole call was for them from the very start. I just did not stop everybody from coming because some of you are learning some new things as I am. So when it comes to the open Q&A, kids only. Okay, I have to put it like that because uh, kids only. Let them have their space. That's all I'm asking from everyone that's participating. This is their space, their time. All right. So with that being said, I want to also open up for those who, for lack of better words, to pick, need some one-on-one time because there are certain shells that you put yourself in as a young person, and it will mold you into that person as an adult. So I'm reaching out to you, and you know who you are because you haven't said anything since you've been on this call, and you've been here. I appreciate that. You participate in the homework, but you say nothing. And I want to make sure that you know that's not healthy. Okay. People will walk all over you. You'll get blamed for stuff. You'll be in the light more than you want to be because you don't say anything. Okay, that is not healthy. I'm just telling you as it is, as if you were my niece or my nephew. Okay, you have to speak. There's no question. If you can't express yourself or refuse to do so, people will label you. You will get, like I said, blamed for certain things because you don't say anything. You'll be put in a position of interest in all the negative ways possible. So I'm asking you, as an adult to a young person, be more verbal. Start small, but start somewhere. Okay. It's important that you have the ability to express yourself. All right. It's important for you to grow as an adult, um, to be able to speak. All right. You never know what is going to have, where God is going to direct your life. You may wind up on TV. Who knows? You might wind up, um, being a congressperson, having to get in front of everybody in the country, and speak to everybody. So practice your awareness of self expression. Okay. I have gone long enough. I have given you ample opportunity. I need you to input. Okay. And like I said, I'm reaching out to you personally. If you want to start with a phone call, text something, but I need you to start speaking. Okay. I want to get that across first so you know where I'm coming from. And I know you're here. And I know you're purposely not speaking. So we need to break that up. Okay. Start small, but start. All right. The last thing that I want to speak on is the a promise delivered entry. And I want to go over this because there's a couple different aspects that are in play. 18 and above, you're considered an adult in the world. I like to choose 21 for both. Um, for some odd reason, they put 18 for the female and 21 for the male. Um, I personally it should be 21 for both. 21's a legal age, as far as I'm concerned. What the other people say is what they say. But as far as it's concerned, um, 18 and up, your account will be open. 18 and below, yours will only be open twice a year. Well, actually, once, twice the first time, and then once a year. Twice because you're going to set your, um, ah, got too many things going through my head right now. Your subscription. Okay. You'll set that and then it'll be closed. The only other time that it will be open is your birthday. Christmas and all that stuff does not count. That is your account. So it is working off of you. So your birthday until you reach 18. Once you reach 18, the account will be open to you. You should have a full understanding of financials. You should have a lot of things already in place, um, and you'll be able to step out in royal fashion. Okay, you should be able to pay for your own college. You should be able to pay for your own car. None of those burdens should be on mom and dad if you're paying attention. So, for that respect, I'm asking everyone to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. The 18 is just what society says an adult is. I don't particularly follow that. My personal idea is 21. But again, I don't make the rules. Um, the second part for my young ones, for all of the everybody who's under 18, I want you to know that the reason it's locked is basically because one, even though our youngest has a bank account of his own, you're not really considered bankable. And I have to follow certain rules, especially as a provider of, you know, a system that's supposed to help everybody. Now, the main part to that is patience. I hope if you've been watching and paying attention to me, you'll notice that patience is part of my whole makeup. Um, I learned it late in life, but I learned it and I had to learn it the hard way. So, my objective for all of you that are under 18 and the ones over is to get rid of some of that hard learning stuff. And that's the reason for this call, so that you have an understanding of financials. I'm learning as I'm bringing things to you. I'm sure the rest of the adults are on here are learning from you when you do your due diligence on this homework. And I must say to each and every one of you, even the ones that aren't speaking, you're doing an excellent job. It's just the ones that aren't speaking, I don't know how well of a job you're doing. And that's the whole purpose of it, is to get you out of that shell. You got to come out of it sooner or later. So you might as well start now. Um, the other objective is to show you not only to have patience, but understanding of others. Um, most adults have a mindset that they got from their parents, that they got from their parents, that they got from theirs. And if the education from way back was zero, then all of the hand me down education dropped. So we have full grown adults, 50 and up, that know less than you. As a uh, sixth grader, seventh grader, whatever grade you're in, the lowest grade, they're learning from you. So being able to be in a situation where not only are you learning from the things that we talk about, but you're learning from each other because you're listening to each other as well. You think I'm not paying attention? I could tell by the responses that there's competition there. It's in the air. I can pick it up. Trust me. And that's a good thing. It's a healthy thing because what it does is make you try harder. And I hope that's what you're doing. That's the whole purpose of homework, to see how other brains work. Okay, to see how others in your age group are thinking. And it is a delight to listen to all of you when you do your homework. Trust me. It is very, very, very satisfying to hear that not only do you do the homework, but the depth that you go with it and the understanding that you're gaining from it by doing that homework. So it's very important that we all participate, all, not just a few that are really good at it. Everybody, whatever your level is, you're not judged here. Okay. Because if it was that kind of class, I wouldn't participate myself because I don't like judging. It's not something we're allowed to do anyway. So don't ever think it's a judgment thing why I'm making you speak or asking you to speak. It's not about that. It really isn't. All right. It's for your growth. All right. So I do believe everyone's here. And I want to start off with the homework, of course. Let me reopen the mics. I thought I was on the other call. Hold on. All right. We are in the homework assignment. Whoever would like to go first.
Mr. Lewis, can I go first?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so number one, or the first one, fiat. So I found two definitions for fiat. Um, Number one, a fiat is when a leader or someone with power makes a rule or decision that everyone has to follow, even if they didn't vote on it or agree. It's like a command that has to be obeyed.
Mhm.
For example, the principal gave a fiat that all kids have to wear uniforms starting next week, even though most students liked wearing their regular clothes. Number two, the fiat that involves money. This is a type of government issued currency that is not backed by precious metal, such as gold or silver, nor by any tangible assets. Fiat currency is typically designed by the issuing government to be legal, tender money, and is authorized by government regulation. Written word. The written word means anything people write down to share ideas, stories, or information. It can be books, letters, notes, or even essays. Writing is a way to communicate without speaking, and it lasts a long time so people can read it later. The written word is really important in school because we use it to learn about science, history, and even how to write stories. For example, reading a book about Abraham Lincoln helps us understand what he did, even though he lived a long time ago. Digital currency. Digital currency is money that exists only online and not as physical coins or paper. You can use it to buy things or spend money over the internet. It is stored in digital wallets and works on computers or smartphones. For example, Bitcoin is a digital currency. People use it to pay for things online, like video games or music, or instead of using regular money like dollars. Wait, hold on. Sorry, I think I messed that up. Like
No,
video
you're
games or
right.
music instead of using regular money like dollars. Okay,
Right.
thought I messed something up. Anyway, cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is a type of digital money that only exists online. It uses special computer codes to keep it safe and private. People can use it to buy things, trade, or save money, but it's not controlled by the banks or the government. For example, Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. People use it to buy things online like gift cards or video games instead of using regular money like dollars or coins. Digital representation. Digital representation means showing something in a way that computers can understand using numbers or codes. It turns real world things like images or sound into digital formats that can be used on phones or computers. For example, when you take a picture with your phone, the image becomes a digital representation. The camera turns the photo into a file like a GPEG that you can save, share, or look at on your phone. And that's it for me. Thank you, Miss Lewis.
Perfect. Perfect job.
Mr. Lewis, could I go next?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So first, written word. This is communication using letters, words, or symbols on paper, screens, or other surfaces. It's how ideas and information are shared through writing. Digital currency is money that exists only in electronic form, like on computers or phones. It's used for online payments or transfers instead of cash or coin. Cryptocurrency is a type of digital currency that uses secure technology called blockchain to control its use and stop fraud. Examples are Bitcoin and Ethereum. Fiat is money made by government like dollars or euros. It has values. It has value because people trust the government, not because it's backed by gold or silver. DSI usually stands for Digital Scene Investigation or can refer to technology tools. It depends on the context and it's often used for forensics. It's also used in tech or forensics. Digital representation, a way to show real-world objects, ideas, or people using digital forms like images, videos, or data on a computer. It helps translate reality into tech. And that's it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mr. Lewis, should I go?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Uh, the written word is used to symbolize language that is written down. Examples of this would be contracts, letters, books, and more. It is a tool and a form of communication that not only involves dialect, but also stores ideas as well. The complexity of the tool has allowed people to interact on a global level. It originated in places like China, Egypt, and Mesopotamia to record traditions and significant events in history. In Mesopotamia, it was known as cuneiform, which is considered the world's first language and was developed in 3100 BC. In China, it was referred to as the Chinese script and is one of the oldest and consistently used writing forms in the world. In Egypt, it was known as hieroglyphs, which brings me to my next definition. Hieroglyphics is a system that was used to only record history and information of the Egyptians. At first, the language would be communicated with carved images. In some instances, the images would represent single letters while others meant whole words. The system of hieroglyphics was designed to combine objects, sounds, and living things. Today, they can be found in museums, on monuments, and temples. Digital currency is money that is only used in an electronic form. It can only be traced, used, stored, managed, and protected through online computer systems. This also means that there is no physical form and it cannot be held or touched. This can be used for online transactions without the need of a credit and debit card or cash. The creation of this, according to my research, dates back to 1983 when David Chaum proposed the idea of electronic cash. He would use cryptography to secure and transfer digital money, and it would be completely anonymous. Cryptography is the process of coding and camouflaging information so only a specific person can read or access it, which is used a lot today, especially when trying to access your banking information. This process is something that would prompt David to create the company DigiCash, but unfortunately, it went bankrupt in 1998. Nevertheless, his idea is considered the foundation for the concept of digital currency. Cryptocurrency is a form of digital currency that allows people to send, receive, and make payments directly to each other using an online system. It runs on a public ledger known as the blockchain, which is a record of all transactions, which is on a constant updating loop and is held by active currency users. As mentioned earlier, cryptography is used to secure the use of and transaction of these currencies. As of right now, they have no legislative value, and they are only apologies, they are only worth what people are willing to pay for them, which is something that is going to change very soon. There are a multitude of currencies, but the most known and commonly used is Bitcoin. Fiat is a word used to represent any country's currency that is not backed by a physical commodity such as silver or gold. The value of it is determined by supply and demand, along with the amount of trust citizens have in their government. This is something that the government has a lot of control over simply because they can always make more of it, which causes hyperinflation. The US dollar used to be backed by gold, but late President Richard Nixon put an end to that in 1971 when he decided to suspend the dollar's capability of being converted to gold. Digital representation is the process of converting real-world information into a digital format that can be stored, processed, and transmitted by computers. It works in a way where computers use AI to process data. It analogs signals and converts them into digital representations through a process called digital sampling. Digital sampling takes measurements of the analog signals and at equally spaced intervals. It can be used for video surveillance, audio recordings, and more. And that's it for me.
Perfect job. Thank you.
Can I go next, Mr. Lewis?
Yes, please.
Okay, so written word. The written word is something that refers to a language that is written down as opposed to spoken. It can also refer to something that represents something else. Written word has very old context, including biblical context. Written word has been around for centuries and is the way that we learn. Digital currency. Digital currency is also known as electronic money. It is a form of payment that exists solely in electronic form and can't be physically held. It can be managed, stored, and exchanged on digital systems usually using the internet. They can sometimes be converted to cash at ATMs. Moving to digital representation. Digital representation is the process of converting real world objects, information, and processes into digital format. The digital representations can be made up of discrete values or symbols that are given meanings through encoding and decoding processes. The advantages to digital representation include transferability and manipulability. That means it's easier to transfer assets and manipulate it to suit you. Fiat is an authoritative or arbitrary order or decree, or by other definition, it is currency that is not backed. Then finally, I think you gave us this as an extra word, hypothecation of a resource. Hypothecation is derived from the term hypothecary, which in Old English it's the Old English word for pharmacist. That's one definition. And then hypothecation of a resource means pledging a property or vehicle as collateral to secure a loan, while still retaining ownership and possession of that asset, using the resource as a guarantee for the loan without giving up full control over it. There are no ownership transfers, and if the loan is not repaid, there is a right to seize in default. If the borrower fails to meet loan terms, the lender has the legal right to seize and sell the hypothecated asset, or the asset that was used as collateral. Common applications of hypothecation is situations of taking a loan for a car or using it to secure a mortgage on your home. Even though you own the home, it is still collateral for the loan. And that's all for me.
Perfect. Excellent job. Thank you.
I'd like to go next.
Yes, sir.
All right. Digital currency. Digital currency is a form of currency that can only be stored, managed, or exchanged digitally. Cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is a form of digital currency that can be traded, stored, and managed. Digital representation. The process of representing and transmitting information for a digital format. Debt service instrument, a DSI, aka debt service instrument, is a debt relief tool that people are programmed to think is money because people use it a lot every day. Fiat. Fiat is a promissory note that has no real value because it isn't backed by anything like it used to be. Hypothecation. Hypothecation is when something appears out of the air. I call the Federal Reserve makes money appear from thin air. Due diligence. Due diligence is research on jobs, items, people, etc. Oh wait, I do have a bonus word because I did my due diligence on it. Mercantilism. Mercantilism is an economic theory based on reducing a country's imports while expanding its exports in order to maximize wealth. They did that a lot in slavery.
Yeah, we were the product.
Yeah, they used to hold the slaves captive, yeah, so they could work, so they could get put, so they could bring exports to Europe, I think. Or it
Absolutely.
was England. Yeah, I think it was England.
Excellent job, sir. Thank you so much.
You
A
will
lot
go.
of, lot of key points there.
May I go next?
May I go next?
Who was first?
I was, but
Go.
okay. Fiat is currency issued and backed by the local government instead of a physical commodity like silver or gold. Fiat is a Latin for let it be done, meaning the fiat currency is solely determined by the government. Fiat money works with the trust that the government will keep its value intact over time, and the value is held in supply and demand in the public's faith in the government. The US dollar and the euro are examples of fiat currencies. Written word is just another form of communication. It helps you and others remember when you write it down. That's why when you're in detention, the teacher would make you write a certain phrase over and over so you will understand not to do this again. Or you can use it as documentation so others will know what happened. Digital currency is currency that is only seen and used electronically or digitally. It is not something that can be physically handed to or spent. Cryptocurrency is a type of digital currency. They're digital tokens that allow people to make payments to each other through an online system. It doesn't have a built-in value. They are worth whatever people are willing to pay in the market, like gold or paper money. Digital representation is just the process of putting real-world information into a digital format that can be saved in computers or other forms of technology. And that's it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up? My little sister would like to go next.
Yes, please.
Digital currency, any currency, money, or money-like asset that is primarily managed, stored, or exchanged on digital computer systems, especially over the internet. Digital representation is the process of converting real-world objects, information, and process to a digital format. Debt service instrument, a tool, and that instrument is a tool entity an entity can use to raise capital. Fiat currency is a type of money that is issued by a government and is not backed by a physical commodity like gold or silver. Instead, the value of fiat currency is based on public's trust in government that issues it and supply on demand. Hypothecation refers to the process of using an asset as collateral for loan. Due diligence, responsible steps taken by a person in order to satisfy a legal requirement, especially in buying or selling something.
All right,
Mr. Lewis, may I go?
Yes, perfect job. Thank you. So proud of you. Go right ahead.
Okay. Fiat, I found, was a Latin term for let it be done or it shall be. fiat money is a government issued currency that plays a central role in modern economies. A currency that is also valuable because the government says that issues it to say it is. Fiat money is not backed up by physical commodities like gold or silver, so its value is based on the government's backing and the public's trust that the government will repay its debts. The US dollar, the euro, the British pound, the Japanese yen, the Albion lek, and the yuan rupee are all examples of fiat money. Digital currency is a form that exists only in digital or electronic form that can operate independently of a central bank. Cash App is known as a form of digital currency. Cryptocurrency is a peer-to-peer system that can enable anyone, anywhere to send and receive payments instead of being physical money carried around and exchanged in the real world. Cryptocurrency payments exist purely as digital entries to an online database describing specific transactions. Bitcoin and Ethereum are examples of cryptocurrencies. The written word is significant because it allows the permanent recording and communication of ideas, knowledge, and stories, enabling the sharing of information across time and space, fostering learning, culture development, and personal expression, making it a powerful tool for preserving history, shaping societies, and influencing thought and action. The Bible is another form of the written word. A digital representation means representing information like an image, sound, or data using discrete digital values instead of continuous analog signals. It is a way to translate real-world things into a computer readable format that can be easily processed and shared.
Perfect. Now I have a question for you, so I can make sure I'm putting down. What is your name, please?
My name is Yakira Calloway.
Okay. Now
Yakira.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Yakira. Right?
Yes, Yakira, yes. You're welcome.
All right. So moving forward, I don't want to keep you too long. I got another 15 minutes, but I'm not going to eat up the 15 minutes because I got to give you what I feel right now. And this goes to all of you. I cannot express to you how much I appreciate you for coming, number one, making it to the call. And that is important on many levels. The first one that I'm going to touch on is accountability. You can write that one down. Accountability to me, now there's going to be thousands of different ideas of that word. And you will find that that word is really picked on a lot. And it means something different to everyone, especially when you are in an agreement situation. An agreement. You can write that one down. So we got accountability. I know I hit that one before, but these words are coming back to me for a reason. Accountability and agreement. You're going to see that one again. The agreement between two. Now that doesn't mean specifically me or whatever. Like I said, everyone's going to have their own opinion of that word. My opinion of that word is simple. I can count on you being here to get what the Creator has designed for me to speak to you. These situations or these conversations, I can't call it class or school because I don't have the license to say that, to which I need to do my disclaimer. Any and all things that I speak on or spoke on during these calls or sessions is of my own opinion and definition by right of the dictionary. I do not have license to give financial advice and or legal advice. There are professionals for both. And I advise any of you that you get into a situation that needs either one, please call them first. So back to that word. What it means to me is that you have committed to learning. Number one, you have made a commitment to yourself to be well-rounded in the financial literacy arena, because the first thing that's you're going to find out as you start as an adult or going into the adulthood is that you have to produce some type of resource, which means you have to study in a field to which you're planning to work. Again, these sessions are for your benefit, and it is very pleasing that you guys make it here every week. I just want you to know that I appreciate that greatly. A lot of these words that we're picking out and picking on are going to be words that you're going to use a lot, because of the simple fact financial literacy doesn't stop at learning where money came from or the unique words that we're using. It is more along the lines of how you plan to survive real life. Okay. Like I said, right now you're in school, you're young, you don't really have a whole bunch of responsibilities, not like the ones that you're about to see. And I tried to give this information to someone else. I'm not going to give names, but they didn't listen. And it's hard to try to help someone younger, and you'll find this out too, younger than yourself, because there's a mindset for some reason that they know more than you. And it's sad because then they're going to go down the oops street. Okay, the oops street is where life takes control of you versus you taking control of it. And the first step of taking control of your life is understanding financials. So you don't have to bend over backwards for someone else to give you nickels and dimes. Okay. Or like my last week, this real life, the snow came a week ago. We got 8 inches. I have not been to work since. So someone else, now this is where I need you to pay attention. Someone else is deciding my life. Literally. Because if I don't work, bills don't get paid, then you get behind, then you're into this whole scenario. So the objective here is to, number one, give you a foundation to stand on. And I'm standing on it as we speak. That's why I'm not in a complete uproar, because of the decisions that I've chose to do. There is stability still, even though I'm not running to the job. But my point today is this. The only person that you can rely on is you. And the more education you get now is going to help you out of situations like I just spoke of. You have to understand where we're going so that you're already there when we get there. And that's digital representation. That word all by itself explains 2025 through 30. The next 5 years, everything is going to be a digital representation. Trust what I'm telling you. Now, I just want to jump back real quick to the individual that I was just talking about. I've been on this earth for 50 some odd years. I have been around the world twice, not bragging, giving you the background so you can understand the words that I use and why I use them. I've been around the world twice. I've seen just over 170 different countries and how the people exist there. I have my own experience coming from a very, I guess you could say, colorful city. I grew up in Detroit. And some of you at the ages that you are right now, I've seen guns more times than I need to in real life. And twice they were put in my face. So saying this just to give you an understanding of how lucky and how blessed you are to wake up every day. Because someone else, again, can decide whether that happens or not. Having a financial understanding, which is a foundation, gives you armor that no one else can see. And if you are willing, now this is the other part, if you are willing to be used by the Creator, and that can be as simple as reading a scripture once or twice or whatever, just being connected gives you an armor that no one else can see. Spoke to this person in basically all their life, but I think that when it got serious, it was around 10th grade. And I started giving the advice at that point because I could see where things were going. Gave the advice. They gave me, oh, yeah, I'll do this. I'll do that. I know. Okay. This person right now today has 3 children. No house, no car, no money. I want you to think about that. And it goes both ways. It's not just the girl thing. You could be the father of those 3 children. Just barely out of the 20s. Still in them, as a matter of fact. What kind of life will that individual have? I want you to think about it. Don't answer yet. I'm not done. The advice that was given was to study, to get your education done. That's first, foremost. 2, find your own employment, whatever that is. That's 2. At the time, it was no discussion about housing because they were super, super young. Actually, younger than 2 of you at this point. This individual made it to 12th grade and was pregnant. Okay? Goes both ways. It's either you having it or you that created it. Where's the financial foundation when you make a decision like that? There is none. There's not even a member of conversation because everything is now focused on a belly. On a belly. Now, it is one thing to make that decision against all advice, and this is why I say it's important that you talk. It's important that you have conversation and listen. It's okay to hear if it's something that you and here's the best thing for the word I know. Don't use it because you don't. I'm just being honest. And the more honest you are with yourself, the more you'll actually learn because you open up your ears and your heart to hear information. You decide what you do with the information. Digital representation. I'm giving it to you on the first month, the 11th day. Triple ones. Triple ones. Did anybody catch that this morning when you woke up? Triple ones at 11 o'clock. Did anybody catch that? You probably just caught it. All ones. This is the first day of the first month of the first year. All ones. This is when you start. This is a very special day. It just left, as a matter of fact. But these words are important for you on many levels. And the more you take it in, the more you read about it, understand it, you're going to start forming your own financial understanding. You will start to create a very thick foundation for you to stand on because you know these words. I don't know if you caught it or not, but the written word not only is in everything that you do, but digital representation is also a written word. It's written digitally. It's still a written word. Now, I wanted to touch on one more word, and then I'm going to go into Q&A because I need to hear from you. I want to see just what's on your mind. I didn't give a whole lot today. I want to get something from you. That's why I'm going to go into Q&A. That's why I asked you guys to, prepare yourself. It doesn't have to be something serious. But hypothecation. Hypothecation is done more than you think, and it's not always about money. It's also considered the three-letter word lie, L-I-E. You can put that one. Lie. Hypothecation, in my opinion, is the greatest lie ever told because of the simple fact we've been lied to from the point of digital representation, since the point of paper creation for a debt instrument. Notice I did not call it MONEY because it's not. It was at one time, it was a certificate which had, let's just say I had a gold certificate that said that this plug of gold, let's say that this is a thick piece, just a slice off of a cylinder, and this is backing a certificate. This lump of silver had a certificate connected to it. It's called a silver certificate. That was money, the certificate, because it was backed by a piece of silver or whatever. Something was backing it. That made this money. Today, you have what's known as hypothecated instruments of debt. Hypothecated instruments of debt, not debt relief, because it's not relieving anything. And that's the lie. Here's how. You take a $20 bill, right? A $20 debt instrument and give it to a company that you have a debt with. The company says, okay, Mr. Lewis, we'll take 20 of that debt that you have and exchange it and reduce the digital representation of the debt that you have with us. Did you catch it? It's all hypothecated. This has no value. So what did you give them? Nothing. A lot of people didn't see that, didn't catch it. This was hypothecated in the first place. So it really doesn't exist. The bill that you have with that company is an obligation or an agreement. See your first word or second word? The agreement that you had between you and them on a specific thing with a value. Hypothecated value doesn't really exist because they didn't buy it. Take this house behind me, for instance. The builder went to the bank and says, I'm going to build houses over on this street, and I need 2.8 million, or let's just say 10 million to buy the land and build the house, right? The builder is going to go to a bank and ask them, and then the bank's going to ask Feds or Federal Reserve for a lump of hypothecated numbers. The bank is going to say we need 150 million because we have builders that are going to be building homes. They say, okay, no problem. You have 150 million. The builder got 10 million, built the homes. Now he did the same thing that I just said. He went to the Home Depot. I'm just making it so you can understand where I'm coming from. He went to Home Depot and got the wood, the bricks, the cement, everything you need to make a house. And he gave them a check that's hypothecated for that amount of money, right? Or money, or not money, hypothecation. Let's call it what it is. Debt instruments. He gave it to them. They said, okay, Mr. Wilkins, you have their stuff. He builds the house. Now he takes that same house and puts a sign in front of it and say, it's for sale. I come along, happy, happy, yay. I use my documents. I use Team Royal. I use what I had, and I was able to purchase, right? What did I actually buy it with? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because I used an instrument that doesn't exist. Gave it to them. They said, okay, Mr. Lewis, here's the paperwork. You have a title on it, and we have a lien on it. We're going to say that you have to pay us this amount of real debt instruments for what you just bought. Now I have to go out to my job and create or give my time for this, still a debt instrument that has no value. And I have to have a whole bunch of this to make one payment on this. And we're all doing it with hypothecated debt instruments. Did anybody catch what just happened? Everything you buy, everything that is sold, and everything that has been paid across the table, under the table, with a check, with a direct deposit, it is all zero. So what did you actually do? And what have we been doing all this time? Hypothecating. Hypothecating. No one, as far as I can tell, that didn't use a real world money, silver or gold, if they use that to purchase something, then yes, they actually bought it. But if you use this, which a lot of us are, you didn't buy a thing. You didn't buy that car out in the driveway. You didn't buy the clothes that you are wearing. Because if you use this, you use something that has zero value. Okay? All right. So I just wanted to hit on that because a lot of you said it, and I wanted to make sure that you get it. You have to get it because the more you get it, the more you can build on it. and the more you can understand what you need to do as a young adult. And that is truly understand where your finances are coming from and what you do with them. It's so important that you all have your digital bank, because that's going to be your bank. This whole thing with dealing with this stuff, going down to the corner to the institution that says that they're a bank, you're not going to be in that world anymore. We're moving out of that. That's why it's important that you come to this call, because I'm going to give you as much as I can so that you understand how to navigate your finances properly. Put some away, use some, get as many avenues of it coming in as possible. It's called multiple streams of income. You're going to have an employment. You're going to have a promise delivered. You're going to have Team Royal, and 2 more coming. There's 2 more platforms that are coming. It's 100% digital, and you will be in that as well. So hopefully, at the end of wherever we end this, you become an individual that can teach somebody else. Next week, I'm going to start with the financials. Okay. Hopefully by then, it should be a little bit more calm. It won't be all these words. It'll be just one thing, but I need each of you to do your due diligence on it as if it was 4 words of homework. It'll just be one item. Okay, one item, but I need you to understand it or comprehend it to the point where by the end of the call, you should be able to explain this to your teacher, because you're going to hear it 5 or 6 different ways, different thought processes, different due diligence of investigation. You guys are doing an excellent job. Like I said at the very beginning, it's a pleasure to come to this call anymore. I look forward to it just because of your bright minds. So we all learn from each other. I give you stuff, you give us stuff. I love it. Trust me. All right. Any questions?
Mr. Lewis, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so do you think it's better to borrow money from a bank or to buy everything in cash or buy everything cash? And I'm referring to both banks, my own personal bank or the traditional bank, the public banks.
MJ. You really are something else. That is probably one of the best questions you could ask. And to answer it properly, from where we are learning at this very moment, is you borrow from you. Ever. Never borrow from an institution. Here's why. An institution is getting money from where? A hypothecated source. That means they went to the Federal Reserve and they said, can we have some invisible money so we can give it to MJ so we can now charge him interest on a number of digits that we didn't have in the first place. Let me say that again. I'm the bank that you're going to go to. I'm going to go ask the Federal Reserve, I need 50 million. I'm going to do $100,000 loans. Okay, no problem. Here, put it on your board. They didn't send over a truck of money. They didn't send over people with large sums of gold or silver to back anything. They just said, yeah, no problem. Give it. You got it. Put it on your books. So the bank puts it on their books from nothing because the Federal Reserve said, here. They didn't send it. So now the bank has invisible money, right? And you come walking through the door and you say, I need, I don't know, 50,000 to start your business, whatever it is you're doing, right? 50,000. They're going to say, okay, MJ, have a seat, and we'll do up the contract. Now, I want to see if you're paying attention. How many contracts have we talked about in that process?
My guess is about maybe 4 or 2, maybe 3. Highest is 3.
Okay, good try. And thank you for trying. But if you notice, when the bank went to the Federal Reserve, they did what? Asked for it. Then the Fed says, here. Then we get to the bank and you walk through the door and the bank says, let's sit down and do a contract for this 10,000 or 50,000. How many contracts were discussed? One. They didn't have it. Federal Reserve did not have it. They said to the bank, here, just put it on your books. No contract. The bank didn't have the funds. So they asked the Federal Reserve for it. No contract. They just asked for it. They said, here. Now you walk through the door for that same, a piece of that same invisible money. You have to sit down and do a contract. What is the contract for? The contract is for you, now listen, to pay back $70,000 of money that you actually go get, or digital representation or representation. It's not digital, but the paper that you're getting, those debt instruments, you actually have to go put time in somewhere. You punch the clock. Physical work, compensation, and then you take that and give it to the bank for money they never had. On top of that, they're going to charge you interest on invisible money that they never had. So that is the lie. Hold on one second. That is the lie we are all under, the spell that we are all under, thinking that that stuff is money. And what they do to you is lie from the very beginning. Federal Reserve lied, the bank lied, and then they lied to you. Then make you pay real paper for invisible paper with interest. That's a total lie. Yes, ma'am.
Would we technically be, whenever we did that, would we technically be paying the Federal Reserve and the bank back because they serve interest?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
So, MJ, perfect question. Thank you. It's all a lie. But if you're going to borrow, you borrow from you. This way, there's no interest. And who are you accountable to repay it? You.
Myself? Okay.
Absolutely. So
I understand that they ask for money that they don't owe in the first place, right?
mhm.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Lewis.
You're welcome. Now you see why I say the word hypothecation is the biggest lie ever. Hypothecation comes from here and here. You think of it, you say it, it's there. Not really in physical form, but it's there. If you say it, it's there. It's what's said. They say it to the bank says it to you. You have to go work and bring back instruments to repay something that they neither one of them had from the start. All right. Any other questions?
Mr. Lewis, I have a statement and a question. First, I would just like to apologize because I realized that I gave the wrong definition for DSI. It's digital scene in investigation. I mean, it's wait, I did digital scene investigation instead of debit service instrument. I apologize for giving the wrong definition.
Can I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
Never apologize for education. We all learned something when you said that. That's why I didn't jump on it. So, by all means, there's never a mistake when you participate. It's when you don't, is when you're making your own mistake. So, no need to apologize. Go ahead.
Okay. My question is, why is there such a thing of inflation if this country prints its own money?
Yeah, that's funny to me because that's still along the same lines that we just talked about. So here's the foolishness. And this is the belt that we're all trapped in. We're all trapped in it in one form or another. The inflation, now watch this. Inflation comes from printing too much money. You would think, well, if they're printing a whole bunch of money, everybody should have enough to pay the inflation, right? It works the exact opposite. The more money that you print, the less value it has. I'll say that one again. The more money that you print that's hypothecated, the more you go ask them. When I'm pointing up to the right, I'm talking about Federal Reserve. And in between is the banks. These banks all around the country, all of the banks keep going to them and saying, I need, I need, right? They say, here, put it on your books that you have $200 million, right? So when they put it on their books, they have to print it, $200 million or 200 million debt instruments. Let's stop saying dollars because it's really, it's the train of what we've been indoctrinized to say, dollars and money. It's not, and it hasn't been for quite a while. But to keep on track, they print up all of these debt instruments, all the banks, and then they tell you, here, you can have or not have, come in and do a contract for this amount times all the people here, everybody, all the parents, kids, folks going to school, college, what's tuition? That's an agreement for you to pay this huge amount of money. Remember, we talked about this in the earlier classes when we were talking about, I think, Jaden, what the school costs and all that good stuff. That all those kinds of things times everybody in the United States. How many houses are here? So how many house loans? How many cars are here? How many car loans? All hypothecated. No one really gave anything of value. So we have shrank our debt. Even the debt instrument is bankrupt. That's where your inflation is coming from. The inflation kicks in because the money has no value. Nothing is being satisfied, only with a debt instrument. So how do you, I'll just use the remote. If you have a debt I don't care what it is, a bicycle, a house, car, whatever, boat. You have a debt that was created from a hypothecated loan. You're using a debt instrument to pay back a debt. Neither one of these things has any value. The boat, for whatever it costs to make it, that's the actual value of it. And it's a lot less than what you bought it for, or supposedly bought it for. So both of these items are zero. There's nothing there. There's a loan to get the boat from them, from the bank to you to get the boat. There was no money exchanged anywhere. You just exchanged a debt instrument for something that's under a hypothecated debt. It's all zero. They know that, you don't. You think, oh, I got this boat like the one I want, the 420 Outrage. It's $1.5 million. That's what they say it's worth. I actually did the due diligence on it. It only cost $30,000 to put the thing together with real raw materials. Debt instruments. That's what it's worth. But because it has a name, a company has a name, been doing business with them and with these, now they put a price tag on it that's $1.5 million for a $30,000 boat. Same thing with the cell phone. And I'm going to blow your mind right now. This phone, the Z Fold, right? Samsung Z Fold. It folds, it's, like a small computer. How much do you think it costs for them to make this phone? $10. Through all of the foolishness, Federal Reserve, the bank, Samsung, or AT&T, they all went through them. It's always a track up and a track back. This has a value of debt instruments of $1,800 for a $10 actual cost. Because you go through this channel of lies, 1,800 of these. Did you actually pay for the phone? So that's where your inflation comes from. All this no money, no real money with something backing it to actually reduce the cost of things. If you have a bunch of this that is worth nothing, okay, nothing's backing it, only a lie that came from Federal Reserve to the bank company to you. If nothing is backing this, then you've not really reduced anything because you're giving something with no value. Okay, so that's called inflation. You got a whole bunch of this stuff. Billions and billions and billions of this, but it has no value. So what do you have? Billions and billions and billions of pieces of paper. That's it. So when you look at, now this is the part of inflation. When you look at the actual cost of these items, all these things around you, the clothes you even have on your body, actually do have a value. Now, because you have not really paid for any of it, the actual price of your items is now in the billions because you've never really paid for it. So now you're under the pressure of the lie and the actual cost of an actual item. You print a bunch of this that means nothing, you have inflation because you're not really satisfying the debt. You're just exchanging one debt for another debt. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Absolutely. Any other
Mr.
questions?
Lewis, I have a follow-up question to that question.
Sure.
Who decided that printing more reduces the value?
Is that a seen fact, or did authorities say that to like soothe the people? Yeah. Is that more is wait, hold on. Is the more you do something, isn't that the better it is?
Well, here's the raw answer to that. And I do apologize for being so frank, but it's because of the Federal Reserve. They when and I said this a while back and people got upset because I said it. And this is a prime example of, if you go back to the video Jekyll Island, you will find out at that moment this country gave away its right to participate in real money because the individual gave it all away. All right. And the reason why I asked you to watch Jekyll Island is because you will then understand that you went from certificates that we talked about earlier, a chunk of metal was backing a certificate. Okay. A chunk of metal backed that certificate. This was considered money, this piece of paper, because it had something backing it. Or you walked around with a chunk of metal in your pocket. That's difficult to do. They decided to go with a paper, but it was a joint agreement. You had to have this to have this. And this stayed at the bank. Okay, depository. This stayed at the bank, and you got a piece of paper that said you have this at the bank, right? That's having money. But Jekyll Island said, when those guys all got together, they came up with something called fractional banking. Let's put that as the last word because I only gave 3. Let's put fractional banking. Now, your first question, and to answer yours, that's when all hell broke loose. When they took that away, I picked up the wrong thing. When they took this process away from you, us, Americans, when they took this away, they came up with this. Now, you ask, well, how is that? Simple. We allowed, now listen, on Jekyll Island, the agreement was, let's let a foreign entity, Federal Reserve, come into our country. Now watch, and dictate your financial foundation. Everything was given to them. Everything. We gave away all of the lumps of silver and gold to them. Just gave it away. All gone. So when you do that, you take yourself off of what's known as a standard, either silver or gold. You can be on either one. That means you have to have this to back this. When he made that decision to give all of this away, they took it. Federal Reserve, they sure did. Absolutely. Give me your money, your real money. Give me this. And I'll give you hypothecation of paper, a debt instrument. Was that a fair trade? No. But because of the education of the people in charge of this country, and this is the important part, this is why I ask you guys to go to your town hall meetings, get educated so that you can participate in what happens to this country. 95% of all the people in charge of this country are illiterate. They're dumb. They have no education in financials. They have no education on equality. The only reason why these people are in the positions they are in is because they know somebody that knew somebody to give him a job to hold down a position. no education in financial backing, no education whatsoever in finances. Case in point, and I'm going to answer your question. Look at your present day information on financial security. You have a president, per se, that is giving away hundreds of billions of this to another country. And we have done it, not just this president, we have done it year after year after year after year. That's why I was in the military. Because our country decided to run the entire world. Bullies. So, your question, because we allowed a entity that we can't even go in the building. I don't know if you know that or not. We're not allowed to go into their building. We're not allowed to ask them accounting like all of you will do. The 15th of April, you have to file taxes, right? You have to tell them how much of this you got. It was all a lie in the first place. You never really got anything. So how are you paying more of this for something you didn't have in the first place? Stupid. But again, this is the process when you allow someone, one or two people, to run an entire country. That's why I don't believe in it. It's a failed system. So to hit that, inflation and all of that comes from the first lie, Federal Reserve. It'll never go away until they do. We have to go back on what's known as a gold, silver standard, where we have something backing our paper. And that's where we're going very shortly. We just got to let him get in office. And all of this will be backing this. Again, we were going to go back on the gold standard. That's the only way to fix it. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yes, it did.
Any other question?
Mr. Lewis, I did kind of have an answer to Kristen's question about
do.
inflation, because I talked about it in one of my definitions, if you can remember, for fiat. The country, producing its own money and all of that, well, its own paper, is caused by hyperinflation. And that was really, interesting to remember. I actually, feel kind of smart for retaining all of this information because, I remember you mentioning several times earlier when the classes began about President Richard Nixon and how he gave away all of our money. So that's why, hyperinflation is such a big thing in today's economy, because we're producing a whole bunch of paper that doesn't actually mean anything. Had Nixon not given away all of our gold in 71, it wouldn't be as big of an issue as it is today. I mean, I know for a fact we'd have other problems because, like you said, America is a bully. So, yeah, I just wanted to add that. And I also have my own question as well, if you don't mind. I
Please.
kind of want to go back to what you said earlier about the snow and your employer saying that, you're not able to work and come in anymore. How come you saw that as kind of like a negative thing instead of God positioning you to be in a place of stillness? Because it wasn't your employer that sent the snow, it was God.
Right. Well, the point I was getting at, it's negative when there's no resources. So if one person is able to preside over you, and this is the point, good point, but here's the point that I'm getting at. If you don't do well in your financial foundation understanding and have multiple streams of income, then you are stuck with the single stream, and whatever they decide to do, you have no choice to receive the outcome. So I appreciate your thought on the process of giving me time to be still, and believe me, I took full advantage. But the point that I wanted to make clear is this: when you understand your financial foundation, even though you have one physical job, like mine is driving the truck, that entity has control over how I receive resources. But because I know better than that, I have multiple streams of income, which allows me to, okay, if you don't want me to work, no problem. I'll just lean on this one. I'll take some from this one and I'll get this. Okay. So it's about having multiple resources. And that's the point that I want to make to all of you. Do not allow, well, you won't, because you're part of a Promise Delivered Team Royal. So you already have multiple streams preset. You don't have them yet because we haven't launched, but they're preset. So you won't be in that position because my guesstimation would be to say that by the next year, you'll have more coming at you than most people would after 40 years of working, 30 years of working. The military usually gives you 15 to 20 years and you can retire. Most other jobs, 30. They want 30 years of your life before they'll give you $1,000 a month. Think about that. 30 years of your life running back and forth. They have control over your finances. And then when you do retire, they give you 2,000 at the most. That's control over your life. 30 years of it right off the top. You have to deal with that. Then when you're all done, they decide. Listen, they decide how you live from that day forward. If your economy is stating that the average household expenditures, what you spend out of the household, gas, light, water, if you don't own it, mortgage, is 46 to 5,000, and you retired at 30, after 30 years, are making $2,000 a month. What has to happen? You got to go back to work, right? You got to go give up some more time. You see them at Walmart at the door, checking your tickets, which is illegal. But those people that are at the door are usually elderly. And this is no disrespect. It's just who they put there, because that's all that you can do at that age is look at a receipt. You can't put stores on the shelves. You can't run that mop. You have to do things that you can do. But that's someone who's not enjoying their retirement after 30 years working somewhere else. They have to go back to work. In the present situation, that's going to change. But that's the whole mindset to that statement.
I see. So what you meant to say originally was that it's better to have multiple streams of income instead of just the linear form, because when situations like this happen, you won't have to worry about just one job.
Right.
Okay.
They don't
Thank you.
have control over your debt instruments. Because if you're not at the job, you're not getting these. But if you have multiple streams on the other side, then you're still getting these, whether you're at the job or not. Any other questions? Going once?
Mr. Lewis, may I ask a question as an adult?
Miss, oh,
Okay, go ahead, Kira. Go ahead.
yes, Mr. Lewis, I just wanted to go over the words for the homework really, really fast. If you could repeat them for me, please.
Lie.
Lie.
I
know accountability was one of
accountability. Let's see. I can't read my own writing.
In agreement.
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 Okay, agreement. Accountability, lie.
Miss Lewis, I think the last word was financial banking.
Yes.
Financial banking. Thank you so much, Ms. Lewis.
Guys, it was fractional banking.
Fractional banking.
Fraction.
Fractional.
Yeah, I was right with my left hand. I'm not that good at it.
Fractional banking. Thank you.
Okay.
So my question, Mr. Lewis, is I was listening to you speak about the country being a bully. Do you believe, or what's your thoughts on people that join the army? Perhaps a lot of times people that join the army are very young, so maybe they don't know. Do you think people that join the army is assisting the government bullying other countries? Okay, all right.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. That was my question.
No problem. I went right after high school. I didn't know a thing. I had no idea what I was getting into. The only reason why I went to the military is because, again, here's the full scope of this whole call. My parents did not understand financials, and there was no college for me. And so with that outcome, you have a choice, or you're given a choice. I'm trying not to put out bad vibrations, but I have to tell the truth, and I'm always going to tell the truth. After high school, with no guidance as far as how things work, you wind up going down some wrong streets. And really, being from such a ruthless city, and if there's people on here from Detroit, you know where I'm coming from, or if you've ever been there, it makes you a ruthless person. You can choose to go opposite directions and try to immerse yourself, but I'm going to tell you up front, I am no saint. I'm not. I'm not proud of some of the things that I've done, but I did them. And sometimes when you go down the wrong street, you get an ultimatum. You either go to the military or you go to jail. What do you want to do? So I would ask all of my young men on this call, stay off of the wrong streets. Trust me. Mine happened to work out to my benefit because I was able to nurture my talent, which is a chef. They gave me the opportunity to go to school for it, which I wound up teaching them because I had a very strong family in cooking. I've been around a stove literally all my life, literally. And I've seen 4 generations of chefs in my family, and I learned from every one of them. So I was able to take the negative part of my younger life and turn it around in the military. So the military has some good stuff, but to answer your question, it is an extension of us to be able to go everybody else's neighborhood and tell them how to live, which is ridiculous when you think about it. So yes, the military is a negative but positive thing. And you have to make a decision whether or not you are going to be on the good side or bad side of it with anything else. So yes, it is an extension to bully people all around the world. But that whole mindset is going away. Just Sarah and the Sarah, keep your ears peeled on that. It's actually just Nasera. That's going to change how we've been doing things. But again, education, communication, and us having this opportunity to speak, I'm going to share everything I know. And just because of a few things, I may do even another class on cooking. I think it was MJ that wanted to see certain things cooked. I'm going to get one of those things, what's it called, a GoPro that I can put either on my chest or on my forehead so you can see what I'm doing. It's difficult to hold a phone and cook. It just doesn't work. You need both hands. So in the future, once we get launched and all this other stuff is done where I can truly relax and no running out of the door to go drive a truck, I'll be able to do things like that. So that's to look forward to. I like to think of myself as a pretty well-rounded chef. It would be a pleasure to share what I know. Any other questions?
Hi, Mr. Montalvo Lewis. Is it the same, which I probably think it would be the same, excuse me, the same amount of time to get all the documents done before Monday's call?
No, that's whenever you get it is good. But again, this is just for the kids, so no questions
Kids.
on.
Okay, so the kids have a little bit extra time to get everything done, but the adults by Monday.
Everyone has extra time. We put a date just to get people moving. Again, these kind of questions is for Monday. This is the kids' call.
I was wondering because I know for my kids as well. That's what was the question. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Any other questions from you guys? If not, we can open it up and say good afternoon. I see stuff in the chat. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. You guys were talking. All right. All right. So you can open up and say good evening. Let me switch this back. Should be
Thank
able to
you.
unmute.
Mr. Lewis, I wanted to say my dad is also a chef. So
All right.
you guys would have to meet or maybe do like a team teach
Absolutely.
moment.
Absolutely. All you got to do is, well, you guys can hold the camera for him while he's getting down, and I'll do the GoPro.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lewis.
You're so welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you,
guys
Mr.
take care.
Lewis. Hi, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll catch you on the next one.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.